Hello, I'm Brazil, and I'm going to be going over my genogram chart. Um, my paper and project was more on parentification in the household, and I'm gonna be going through the process of how I created that. Throughout the presentation, I'll explain the family structure, um, discuss any patterns that emerged, describe the concepts of vertical and horizontal stressors, and reflect how my assignment deepened my understanding of these types of family systems. And I'll also discuss how creating a genogram can be used as an assessment tool for marriage family therapy. So, what is a genogram? It's more of like more than a family tree. It maps your family relations um instead of just who you're related to. So you can go across multiple generations. I only went back to my um back 2 generations to my grandparents. And just because there's a lot to talk about with them in general and just in my parent with my parents in general. And so the difference between this and a family tree is that sometimes clinicians can help understand how certain family dynamics work or how they can influence your development. And a lot of times family therapists will use genograms to identify recurring patterns. So things that like coping strategies, communication, social emotional functioning and learning, and how you're going about your daily life. Um, so we'll start with my grandparents. My paternal grandfather, his name was Freddie, and he was born in Belgium. Um, he passed away in 1992 from HIV slash AIDS, but he was primarily um, a businessman, like not an oil tycoon type of person, but his family just worked in the oil industry, so that's how he met my grandmother in Angola. And my my paternal grandmother recently passed away in 2025 after heart-related health issues, and she ended up developing um, trauma-induced PTSD from being in a refugee camp. And this refugee camp was after she met my grandfather. He had to go back to Belgium, and she was dealing with just the hardships of not really having a companion and raising my dad by herself. So my maternal grandfather has diabetes, and he's had it for as long as I've known him, since I've been born. Um, and my maternal grandmother struggled with alcoholism and currently smokes still. But these health concerns do represent some important medical environmental factors within my family. Um, so moving down, my parents are Nisa and Candace, and I'm using their real names because they don't mind, and they do work to where a lot of people do know them. They're usually in the media. My mother was a school psychologist and switched over to HR for San Diego Unified School District's special education compliance position. So, and my father is a hairdresser. He lives in Phoenix, and my parents were divorced. They split up around, I want to say 2013. I was around 11, or 2014, I should say. I was around 11, and um, we'll get into their patterns and how their divorce affected some of the family lines. So, my started with my grandparents and now we're down to my parents. My mother is now married to Christy Hunter Clark, and that introduced a blended family dynamic for my sibling and I, my sister and I. My siblings include Kalani and Christian, and um, Kalani is my only brother, my only step brother, half brother, but we'll get into that. My sister and I were both from my parents' original marriage, and then my mom and stepmom got married. They used my stepmom or Christy's egg to during during in vitro fertilization for my brother, and then the sperm donor is Misa, the father. Um, just to keep us all related and to just have more of a connection to my sister and I. So along with my or my half sibling, I don't have any step siblings from Christy's previous marriage or my dad's now current relationship. And so I've noticed that my genogram provides a lot of, or some structural information, but it also represents a lot of the emotional experiences. So as the oldest sibling, I always assumed that caregiving responsibilities um, were mine. So that became part of my everyday role, and I was constantly um, just thinking about how I could step up more to fulfill that parental role as a child. And then the parentification and family systems of what I wrote about contribute a lot to my genogram. And um, just to go over what parentification is, it occurs when children take on responsibilities that are typically expected of the parent. And that's not the same as going to help pick up a sibling from school or helping make your sibling's lunch. This is going to be more of household responsibilities and obtaining that mental stress that many parents experience while raising their own kids. Um, so in my experience, this was primarily um, instrumental parentification. I was helping care for my younger sibling and siblings. Now, I completed household responsibilities and chores and ended up taking over that emotional stress. So I was the first person that they would ask if they needed help, they would ask for help about and or for, sorry. But over time, I do believe that that familial stress of feeling like a mother um made me, I want to say, intertwined with that personality. And it definitely became normalized and when it shouldn't be. And I am still working on that. I'm still working on not having to be needed or trying to become um less needed by actually being busy and um by prioritizing my tasks and my day-to-day responsibilities over parental expectations. Using system theories has helped me understand that the experiences weren't simply just my experiences, but they developed within the rest of my family. My family really adapted to different stressors by reorganizing responsibilities. But then that would never stay. Those responsibilities would always go back, and someone would always need, um, I want to say maybe more time or just more of a transitional rest to get back into that mental state of becoming the parent again. I also examined both vertical and horizontal stressors. Vertical stressors were including intergenerational expectations and surrounding responsibility, caregiving, resilience, and cultural values that have been passed down through generations in my family. Horizontal stressors include life transitions, school responsibilities, financial pressures, and periods of familial instability that require everyone to adapt and switch their mindset very quickly. One important realization was that these experiences contributed to both strengths and challenges, while parentification encouraged independence, empathy, leadership. Um, but it made it more difficult to establish healthy boundaries between me and my parents, and prioritize my own emotional needs without feeling like I was being selfish. So, to reflect on the assignment, creating the genogram was both informative and emotional. Some information was easy to document, and others I wanted to had to go a little bit more deep about family roles that I hadn't considered. Mm, like if your parent suffers from substance abuse and you're taking on that parental role, how is that going to be different from me, an older sibling, um, taking on a role that I didn't have to have? I realized that a lot of my dynamics um, became so familiar because we didn't question them until someone maybe had an anxiety attack or was getting overwhelmed. And I think it's important to notice that we can coexist and two things can happen at the same time. But when you're viewing them separately, I think that's when a lot of the the challenges and strengths can come out. Another important takeaway is recognizing resilience within my family. They've gone through a lot, stressful periods of um, just immigration and um, mental health and not being able to essentially take care of themselves for a period of time. And I think that viewing these experiences also helped me appreciate both of the protective factors and the areas where healthier boundaries could have existed. Um, And then, as a future marriage and family therapist, I believe this assignment demonstrated the values of my genogram as an assessment tool. My genogram allows clinicians to identify intergenerational patterns that could go unnoticed. Um, they encourage conversations about just life, lifestyle, communications, trauma, resilience, cultural influences moving from country to country. And understanding my own family system also increased my awareness of potential biases, and it helped me remain mindful of my own experiences when working with clients. But developing self-awareness is very important, and I have seen it become more of an ethical and effective um, way to take care of your mental health. And in conclusion, I completing this genogram helped me better understand how family roles, life transitions, and intergenerational patterns have shaped my development. It reinforced the importance of viewing individuals within the context um, of their own family systems, rather than in isolation of just viewing one person for who you are and not looking at how you became this way. Although the parentification, not mine, but presented challenges, it also contributed to a lot of strengths. I believe professionally and academically that I could grow from. And moving forward, I hope to use this at times with clients to help them better understand certain patterns that they don't understand, um, and to develop stronger family systems. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I'm Brazil Santos, and I hope you enjoyed my genogram. Thank you so much.